I've been testing the TicWatch Pro 3 Ultra for about 6 weeks now. It's a full-featured smartwatch. It has an activity tracker, a heart rate monitor, and a built-in GPS. This watch has a ton of features and apps that I won't be able to cover in one review. So I'll start out by going over the features and then talk about some of my favorite apps. Then I'll go over what I like and what I don't like about the TicWatch Pro 3 Ultra. For the general specs on this watch, it has a 1.4-inch AMOLED screen with a 454 resolution, which is among the highest that you can find on a smartwatch. The Pro 3 Ultra runs on Google's Wear OS operating system, which can pair with either Android or Apple products. And this is one of the few watches that's going to be eligible for the Wear OS 3 update. However, it wasn't an option at the time of this filming. And then a quick overview on the features on this watch. It can track activities, exercise, sleep, heart rate, blood oxygen, noise, and stress levels. And then it has a full function activity tracker with a GPS and a barometer that can monitor altitude. So far, the TicWatch has held up very well for me. It's rugged, and in addition to the metal casing, it's got a Gorilla Glass screen, a waterproof rating of IP68, which is the highest that you can get on a smartwatch. And it's completely waterproof up to 3 meters, which means that you can use this watch for swimming. One issue smartphones have is that when they get wet, these little speaker holes fill with water, making it hard to hear until they dry out. The TicWatch has a really cool feature for getting the water out of these speakers. It emits a high-pitched frequency that just shoots the water out of the speakers. When I tested this, it was hard to believe that it would actually work. You can see when I zoom in here, the water is actually just shooting right out of the speakers. The screen has a nice feature that most smartwatches don't have. When you turn on the touchscreen, you can access all the features, but when it times out, it goes into a basic LCD screen. It's kind of hard to see on the camera, but this is the default when you're not interacting with the watch. It saves battery life and still gives you the date, the time, and your steps. And then to make this thing easy to see, it has a customizable color backlight that turns on when you lift your wrist up. The battery life on the TicWatch is pretty good. I found I needed to charge it once every 2 to 4 days, depending on how much I'm using it. The dual screen really helps to save battery life because it uses way less power than the AMOLED touchscreen. I found if you're using the watch a lot, you're interacting with the screen, you're using the GPS to track your activities daily, then you need to charge this thing once every 2 to 3 days. However, if you don't interact much with the watch and just use it to tell the time, record your steps and heart rate, then you can get away with charging this thing once, maybe every 3 to 4 days. And if you're really looking to extend battery life, you can come down here. There's an option called Essential Mode, which only gives you the LCD screen. This is going to completely disable all the other options. You won't be able to swipe, you can't track your activities, you can't really do anything until you turn it off. I haven't ran the battery down completely using that, but they claim you can get about 45 days on the LCD screen in Essential Mode. Charging the TicWatch is relatively fast. For example, I plugged it in here at 55%. After 20 minutes, the charge was at 75%, which is enough to use it for about a day if you're not using the watch much. The TicWatch uses a proprietary 2-pin charger, the little magnet. I don't love these because you have to carry this exact charger around with you, and it can be difficult to replace if you lose it on the road. However, this is very common in smartwatches. Almost every single manufacturer, Galaxy, Fossil, Apple, Fitbit, they all use different chargers. The TicWatch comes with a bunch of apps, and there's many more that you can download. It would take me forever to go over all the apps here, so I'll just touch on a few of my favorites, like Google Maps, Translate, the camera, and the TicWatch fitness tracker. Having Google Maps on your watch is a great feature, especially if you're walking or riding a bike. You have to enter the address on your phone, and then it shows you the directions on your watch as you go. And then I know it's just Google Translate, but it's really convenient to have access to it on your wrist. For example, here's a sample clip off Spanish Pod 101. Translates right on the watch. It's super easy. I think this is a great option for travelers. And then next, for activity tracking, I think that the built-in fitness tracker app actually works really well. There's something like 200 activities that you can track in here, but you can set your default ones to show up on the screen when you open the app. It's super easy to use. You just select the activity. It's going to take a minute, find the GPS. Once it does, you just hit go to start. This thing is going to track just about everything you could possibly want. It's going to track your mileage, heart rate, altitude, And the GPS I just had on there is going to show you a map of your route. One of my favorite apps is actually the camera. From your phone, you can open up the app on your camera. You can zoom in and out. You can take pictures. Down here, you can set a timer, and you can also flip the camera around. Being a YouTuber, I'm actually surprised I've never used one of these before, but it makes it very easy for taking selfies on the road. Now I'll go over a couple things that I don't like about the TicWatch. The first is the display for the heart rate monitor. I like the feature, but it doesn't show up on the LCD screen unless you're either in essential mode or you're actively tracking an activity. And I think the LCD screen is a great feature for saving batteries, but there aren't many options for customizing the display. You can change the background color and the date and the time format, but you can't change which features are displayed, which by default are only the time, the date, and the steps. And the auto fitness tracker function isn't great either. It's supposed to automatically detect when you're doing an activity, which it definitely does. But for me, it would tell me I was running when I was just walking. It would do this over and over again. So over the course of a normal day, I would have maybe a dozen 1 to 2 minute runs tracked when I wasn't running at all. The best thing to do here for me was to just turn the detect activity off and then just manually track it when you're starting an exercise. In summary, the TicWatch Pro 3 Ultra has a ton of features for a watch in this medium price range. It's rugged, waterproof, you can track activity, sleep, heart rate, blood oxygen, noise, stress level, GPS, and altitude, all in a watch that's under $300. There are a few kinks that need to be worked out with the automatic activity tracker, and it would be nice to have some more functionality on that LCD screen. And this is also rather a large watch, which can either be good or bad depending on your preferences. So that's all I have for the TicWatch Pro 3 Ultra. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. And again, thanks for watching.